Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Psychotherapy Central podcast, where we have a different episode to our normal content. There is something very exciting happening in Sydney on the 28th of June. It's going to be happening in Hordern Pavilion. I'm going to be there with lots of other energetic and spiritually minded practitioners. So Paul King is the founder of the event Awaken. So about 3 years ago, he had a profound awakening when he had a reading with a medium, and she brought through his parents and a friend who took his own life. And it proved to him that this information was real and that there was no possible way that she could have known this private information. And it really started his journey, which he speaks about in the podcast, to discover more about spirituality and life after death. And the more that he looked into it, the deeper he found that it was. And he discovered the Life After Death series with Craig McMahon. And those movies changed his life. He found a sense of peace. He found his life's purpose. And he has been wanting to share that experience with the world. So Awaken was born as an event that is bringing people together. And today we are welcoming Craig McMahon, movie producer, researcher on spirituality and life to afterlife. Now, he was a producer of mainstream motion pictures for Lionsgate and Paramount Pictures, and he had a spontaneous spiritual calling one day to create content of a more spiritual nature. And this calling felt urgent and important, and it sent him on a journey to create and produce the Life to Afterlife documentary series, where he's interviewed many people. And his mission is to assist the collective consciousness by creating spiritually uplifting content and to bring answers to life's deepest questions about the afterlife and why they are here. I'm very excited today to be welcoming Paul and Craig into this conversation. Welcome to Psychotherapy Central, where we explore love, attachment, trauma, and the path to secure, connected relationships. I'm your host, Jennifer Nurek. So welcome, Paul and Craig. It's so good to have you here in Australia and on the Psychotherapy Central podcast.
Nice to meet you, Jenny. I'm Paul. This is Craig.
Very nice to meet you.
Great. So I would love to hear, and I know that my community would love to hear all about the event that's coming up. I'm feeling very excited about it. I'm going to be coming in both days, actually on Friday for Bump In as well.
Right.
So Paul, as the birther of this project, I would love to hear how that came about for you.
Sure. So I'd been going through a bit of a difficult stage in my life, and I was quite insular in that I was staying home, working jobs, but not really living, not like I was used to living. And I'd been watching a show on TV about mediums. And so I thought, I wonder if there's a local medium in the area. And so I booked a booking with a medium. And when I went to her, she brought through my mother, my father, a friend that had committed suicide that I was carrying a lot of grief and guilt with. And he sort of explained what had happened. And, you know, I walked out of there with such relief and shock. It was impossible that Morella, the medium, could have known any of the things that she told me. And so I went home and I started researching things. And as I was researching material, I came across Craig McMahon's Afterlife videos. And so then I started watching them, and they were just amazing. Like, they just took really, started filling in all the gaps. And so I joined Morella's psychic circle to increase my sort of intuition. And then I started getting messages saying that we had to run this event to share what I'd experienced with everybody, and that this was an event for the people, that it was to be big. It wasn't to be at the Leagues Club or anything else like that. We had to do it at a major event in Sydney. And so we booked the Hordern Pavilion, and it was this. I approached Craig and Julie and said, look, we're going to run this event. Would you be interested? And surprisingly, they said, absolutely. And that shocked me because, I wasn't expecting that sort of thing. And so it started like that with, we had no experience in running an event like this, but we just knew what we needed to bring to the people, and it developed. People came to us that were drawn to it.
And you've got lots of really interesting speakers, people who I've actually known for many years of speaking and going to be part of that. It's very exciting.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, it started off fairly small, and it just kept growing. And as it grew, I went, I've got to do another stage. These people's talks are too interesting. So it started with one stage, then two stages, then three stages, and now three stages and a workshop and an exhibition. And so we have something like 55 presentations over 2 days that people can choose from. There's 21 workshops. Like, it's just so amazing that, all these brilliant people just came to us. They were just drawn to us by spirit. Right? Spirit's been guiding it right from the beginning.
Yeah. And what was it like for you, Craig, when Paul got in contact?
Um, it was, he said, "Oh, I'm going to put on a convention," and I was kind of like, "Are people doing conventions still because of COVID?" And I didn't know. And then he said, he's in Australia, and I was like, "Oh, I'm down with this. This is going to be so good. Let's get these conventions going. Again, let's bring them out there." And I just fell in love with Australians because they're just so nice, and it seems like America is doing its thing, and I really want to be a part of the Australian movement, as far as bringing spirituality and raising the collective consciousness of the globally as well. So we're Julie and I are going to move on, keep going to other countries and start doing this tour.
And what was your journey with, because you're in movies and in creating amazing visual pieces and like
Yeah. Yeah, so I was making regular motion pictures, with Lionsgate and Paramount and E1 and Weinstein Company, making movies, and I was quite happy. I had the life, it was that's all I did. 14 hours a day, I just made movies, and
yeah.
then I was just driving on the freeway, and I just got this this calling. They're just like, you need to start making spiritual content, and so. I had shifted already into faith-based movies, more of the Christ consciousness type movies, and they were like, you need to start. You have such a great, way of making movies and getting them into platforms. In the United States, we have Amazon, all these different platforms, and so I haven't quite tapped into the Australian just because we need to do some stuff to get it over there. We can totally get it into Australia, but it was. It was just such an amazing opportunity because I just fell in love with this guy's energy. He's putting this together, which is, oh my gosh, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. How he just took this community and he just put it all together, and I was just like, this is going to be awesome. So we've been talking about this for what, 2 years?
Yeah, two years it's taken to put together for
Yeah.
2 days.
Well, thank you for doing that. And yeah, I would love to hear. I think like when our listeners hear about that there's no death and that it's sort of more of a letting go of the shell, like a lot of people have heard of that stuff, but like, do you have any sort of particular, like you spoke to the medium and she said some things that she couldn't possibly have known. Like, would you feel comfortable kind of sharing a little bit more about that? Or do you have any stories, Craig? I'm just kind of, yeah, thinking
But
about.
so I never like I guess what happened was I was making normal motion pictures, and then I got this calling to make spirituality content. So then I was just like, okay, this is going to be great. There really isn't a whole lot of space for this in the platforms, like Amazon and stuff like that. And I interviewed so many people, that had died, came back, James Van Prague, John, all these people. I started just interviewing everybody's, trying to get their perspective, and there is no death. That's what there is no such thing, and we just transition.
Mm, mm,
And in my situation, like after I went to Morella the first time, I walked out a bit shocked, like, and I didn't record it, and I couldn't remember half of what she said. So I went back 2 weeks later and said, "Can I record this?" And so when I recorded it, and then I had the proof, to go to my brother and go, "Listen to this," talking about when we were children, things that had happened when we were children. There were stories that my mum said to verify that it was her, and there was a lot of other things. Plus, she's also a psychic medium, so she was telling me about things that were going to happen and things that had happened, and so I started sharing this with other people, and then they all saw it and had the same stories as me and the same validation, and so it was very early that I realised that this was 100% legitimate, that this isn't something that's smoke and mirrors or anything else like, and so that's when that journey began. And then the deeper that you look into this side of life, the deeper the pool is, and once you start going into consciousness and energy and all the healing modalities, and it's just so rich and beautiful, and it's so life-changing that bringing that to people is just so beautiful.
yeah. So when we're on a spiritual journey, it can be so different. And the path that I see it almost like a river that we take into the ocean, quite a different journey back to the ocean. Yeah, I'd love to hear about it, about a bit about that from both of you, your particular flavor and the way that you've been pulled sort of back towards that big ocean.
Go ahead.
Well, in relation to my journey, like my journey with this whole event has been so amazing and incredible because there's been so much validation that's occurred in so many different areas.
Mm,
As I would meet someone in a new modality and I would learn more about things, then Spirit would show me things that would just verify exactly what we were talking about. And so, whether it was energy or whether it was healing modalities, things just occurred that were just so synchronistic, that even when at times I would email that person and they would email me at exactly the same time, like just random things like that. And so the synchronicities are the sort of evidence that's most readily available for everybody, because everyone goes, "Oh wow, that's freaky," or "That's a coincidence," but when you start actually looking out for these things and taking notice, we're being contacted all the time. Like we're being guided, like through life. And what surprised me the most was that I'd lived so much of my life and had no idea that this other side of life existed, and it's real life. Like this is why we're here, and our purpose, and it's amazing.
so for you, it's very much kind of the synchronicities and that kind of that has really pulled you forward and kind of that confirmation of, okay, I'm on the right track and I'm doing the right thing. And
Yeah, and also the verification of these other modalities and other sources that are there too. Like it's not just spirit. Like there's just so much more to this, and the human endeavor and who we are. Like it's not about what happens when we die, but it's living our best life here. Like we can live such a beautiful life and existence and be at peace and kind and, be generous to one another. And it'd just be such a better world if we were all on that same path.
have you found, and I guess Craig, I'll ask this to you this time. It's have you found a particular modality or a particular stream that has really influenced you in your spiritual journey that you've really deeply resonated with?
Well, is this me or Craig? Still me? Yeah.
Craig.
Oh, Craig.
Okay. So when I first started making spiritual movies, I, you normally have all these like things you've got to get and do, and everything fell into place, rather beautifully, and so that was a fine. And then as I got into it more and more, I started to be able to channel, information. And as I was like, working with all these different spiritual beings, I started to develop all kinds of, senses and clairs. And so it's been amazing. And I can actually see things and hear things now that I didn't before. I mean, I did through back up what happened. I lost a brother when he was 18 in a car accident. And then I lost another brother to a suicide. And then so I was 9 years old when my brother that was 18 transitioned. So my mom and I she said, you understand Carrie's not around, he won't be here. And I said, no, he's right here. And she was like, no, he's not around, he's died. And so I was 9 years old. That's how we, as children, that's how we see things. So we just had the spiritual connection. My mom and I had this just complete dialogue, conversation that just lasted throughout my entire, pretty much her life, as well as mine. And so then my parents transitioned as well. And so, I've got a lot of help from the other side. I have a lot of help, and then got, acquainted with some angels. And it's just been amazing that, like with working with this conference, Julie and I we're working on our talks, and it's just like we put all this stuff together, and we're like, oh my gosh, this is it's teaching us, so much just to put it all together in a 1 hour or 45-minute lecture. So we're just, and so our Julie and I's message is to raise the collective consciousness, that we need spiritual light workers, to come to earth and try to bring this compassion, love and being kind to each other. And so that's where, I had two brothers. One was a car accident and one was a suicide. And I had, to me, I just lost two brothers, and there was just such a, admiration for, both. But so I learned a lot about all this stuff just through my journey of constantly just making, I don't know, 20 documentaries on the subject, so you pick up these clairs and tools, and you get direct connections. I mean, angels just come around and just start saying, we're going to help you. And you're like, this is amazing, the assistance that you get from the afterlife, doing this kind of stuff.
Absolutely. And if you had a tip, like if somebody's listening who is going through grief, losing somebody, what would be like at the forefront of, okay, something, some kind of tip or some kind of assistance or support that you would offer? Yeah,
And you were talking about someone that lost somebody?
like a family member or someone close.
I think, I worked with a shaman a lot, and she taught me something, which was, even though they're in the afterlife, you could still send them love. You could still send them, healing. We can still do it. This veil thing is in, it's not really there. It's just, we kind of perceive it as that. So we can actually, like with my brother, I sent a lot of, even my father. My father, I sent a lot of healing to my father. I've forgiven him, for everything. And so you can still do lineage cleanup. But to basically come back to your question, our loved ones are right here. I mean, they're all around us. And for some reason, we just don't see that etheric realm, but they're there. They are there, and they love you. And if I could say anything to anybody, is you have no idea how much you're loved. You just have no idea. It's amazing. And so instead of just waiting for the big surprise of going to the afterlife and go, oh my gosh, I'm so loved. Oh, I didn't know that, And if everybody knew that, they would have a, more joyous life and raise our frequency, which will build up this collective consciousness, of we can all bring in this new shift of beautiful joy and love and kindness and helping each other, or just noticing strangers wherever you are. This is the greatest practice place. You could call it a school, whatever. I just love it because it's such a good practice place. You could just go at the grocery store, just notice the person that's in front of you and talk to them, acknowledge them, and you all of a sudden they stand up taller. You're talking to me? I'm just a checkout person. Yes, you. I want to hear about, you. So that's what Julie and I do, is wherever we go, we're constantly refining, practicing loving kindness, compassion, and having a genuine interest in others. And it's not all about me, it's about how's it going, with your life. What we noticed that you got this around your neck. What is that, And we were just on the flight to Sydney, and it was 10 hours, and there's one flight attendant that was working with us. She was getting tired, and people were cranky, and they were, and at the very end, my wife just said, we want to thank you for you did such a wonderful job. And just to see that light come on, just, oh my gosh, someone noticed me, it's amazing. So that's what we want to do. We want to bring that, if that's any message that I could say, is just to start to consider the other. It's really another you.
That's beautiful. Thank you for that. So thinking about the communication with the other side, my father passed about probably about 8 years ago now. Appropriately, he was 91 years old, so he did time and he was ready to go. And I actually went to India, and I did a sacred ceremony for him, which was kind of it's an offering actually of a cow and a calf, and the cow and the calf goes on to feed a family and for people. So it's a very sacred thing to do there when someone's passed, and for the lineage as well. And on the morning of this big thing for my father, it was in the space between his passing and his funeral. I went to India, and on the morning I went for a walk around the temple, and I spoke to him, and I went up, and he'd been laying on like almost like a hospital bed, but with angels stood around him. And every time I checked in on him, he just said to me, "Jane, I'm so tired." And I go, "It's okay, Dad, just wait." He'd say, "I'm so tired." Yes. And so it had been like that every day for about 7 days. And then on this particular day, when I tuned into him, he was all dressed up in this dark blue suit, and he was wearing this gray and blue stripy tie, and he looked very dapper, as my dad would say, born in 1925, very dapper. And he said, and I said, "How are you feeling, Dad? Are you okay to do this?" Because I mean, we were not really Christian, but like loosely, this is very kind of left of center.
Sure.
My father would. And I said, "Are you okay with this, Dad?" And he said, "Well, Jen, I trust you. And if you think it's a good idea, then I'm good with that." And I was like, "Oh, Dad, you're so sweet. That's lovely." Okay. I did this whole ceremony, and it was really beautiful. And then that night, I called my mom, because she was in the UK, and I told her what had happened. She knew what I was doing. And I said, and Dad turned up in this like dark blue suit. And I said, "You know that tie he has that has like the blue and gray?" And my mom just burst into tears, and she said, "That's his wedding suit."
Oh, wow. How beautiful.
Beautiful story.
So amazing.
Yeah. Got all dressed up in his like wedding outfit and was all, okay, I got it. It was just, and that's what I think you were speaking about then, Paul, about that kind of confirmation, how.
Yeah, well, in the very first reading I had with Morella, when my dad came through, he said to me, "I can do more for you in this life than I ever could on earth." And I thought, what a strange thing to say to me, like at the time. And I played it back, and I'm thinking, how can he help me? Like, what can he do for me? And then in this process, as we've been putting this event together, and he's been coming through, he's been saying to me, "I've instigated this for you. Like, I'm helping you bring this to the people." And so when we were going to run it last year and it wasn't right, so we had to postpone it. And so when we approached the Horden Pavilion again and we said, "We want to postpone," they said, "Well, look, we're really booked, but we've got this one date you can have. It's June 28, and that's my dad's birthday, and he turns 100 years old, and the Horden's 100 years old." Like, and so they gave me that date, and I went, "My goodness, this is the date. Like, this is when it's actually supposed to happen. And 2025 too is the year of change, the year of global consciousness. Like, you know, so we're all just doing our bit to help the planet and help humanity, sort of thing. Like, these things will start happening all around the world, and if everyone just does their little bit, like one person at a time, you know, the world can be a better place.
And what I love about what you're doing, Paul, is the coming together of lots of different modalities. And I see it almost a bit like there's lots of different kinds of people, you know, and we all will resonate with something that's slightly different. And what one person might look at and be like, oh, that's just like, I don't resonate with that at all. It seems really out there. But then there might be something over here that's just so resonant and so right.
Yep.
And lots of different modalities will work on the energy body in a slightly different way. And my own healing, my own journey with healing, I've been in the energy healing space for over 20 years.
Yeah.
That I've actually used quite a lot of different kinds of modalities, and I found that they've all sort of sat in my system, in my energy body, and all of them have in some way contributed to kind of that opening and that.
Yep.
And so there's this, yeah, I don't know, like a gratitude of all of the different people who bring through each different flavor, and that it's almost, yeah, like petals of a flower. Each one is kind of unique and will have people for a particular time who it really supports and serves, and then there might be a different modality, or people might stay with one and go super super deep in that. And
Yep.
for many years, I had a teacher who said, better to find one and go deep than to dance across lots of different petals. And I think that there is a time, in my own experience, there's a time to kind of go deep with certain tools or techniques or traditions, because sometimes there is a depth that can only be you can only embody or connect, kind of get the fullness of the opportunity if you pause with it and go really deep for a while.
Yeah.
But then there's other things along the way that could really support that central practice, or there might come a time when that's done and we're moving on to something else. And yeah, that was what I was wondering about with your gyms.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see. When I had a lot of hardships in my life, like I lost a lot of businesses all at once, and went through a divorce, and you know, everything happened at once, and so I hit a very low point in my life, and I used to think, like, why did this happen to me? Like, why me? Why did all these things just happen to me all at once? Now that I'm on this journey, I realize they happened for me, like, and this was meant to happen, because if that didn't happen, I wouldn't be here now. And so these adversities, which I've been carrying as grief and shame and trauma, are now being reversed around to gratitude and thankfulness, and, you know, like, and just knowing that we don't die, like there is no death. It changes your outlook on life, because, you know, like, even, you know, it's always been a fear of mine that maybe my daughter would pass before me. But now I know that if that did happen, and hopefully it doesn't, but we will still be in communication. Like, we connect with each other all the time. She lives up in Tenterfield, and we connect all the time spiritually, like, and it's just amazing. Mm.
When you talk about that experience, it really reminds me of the tarot card of the Tower. You know, when everything's just kind of collapsing and everything you've built is like collapsing, and all of the egoic parts are like screaming out of the window, and
Yeah.
that total collapse. And then you're right, it's kind of out of the old building, what's meant to emerge can't always emerge. And sometimes we do need to kind of crumble the old structures, and we need to have that complete kind of dark night of the soul, like, I don't know what I'm doing or what this is about, and I'm in so much pain.
Yeah.
That can absolutely be the beginning of a huge transformation. It's like that, the image that comes is like that burnt forest. But then after a few weeks, those green
All the
shoots,
green growth, that's right, greener than ever. And
we get all the time, you just see it coming, and it's like this, and then it creates just this amazing, amazing
yeah.
something different that wasn't there before.
Mm.
Experience so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that we need to go through this, like, to grow. And so I had to go through my particular change for me to be ready to go to the next level, like, to face what it is that I'm actually meant to do. And so I know that this is part of my life plan to do this event and to bring this to the people and to bring everybody together into this one location for 2 days, like the energy that's going to be at this one event of all these people coming into this one location, for this 2 days. And we've had energy mechanics out at the Horden, getting the building ready and the land ready. And, there's so much more going on in the background from an energetic and spiritual perspective before this event even runs. Like, so it's guided, like it's bringing it to the people. Like, yeah, it should be amazing.
Beautiful. I can really feel that as you're talking about it, and the importance of that setting up the space, which a lot of people kind of heard about, kind of given lip service, kind of setting up the space. But
Yeah,
there's something that's very important about land and about creating the container. Yeah.
100%. Yeah, like this whole earth, it's a living thing, and we're just part of it. And so, we're connected in so many different ways that, and this has been part of my journey too, just the surprise that I've had as far as the connection with Earth and Earth connecting back to us, and the energy that's being generated. Like, every word that is spoken has energy, and energy can't be created or destroyed. So when people speak badly, they create bad energy, like, and it stays. Like, so it's very important how people talk and how people treat people, and because this is part of life. Like, this is the energy that we're creating. And so when you talk about getting over grief or trauma or things like that, like, this is part of the journey too, like, to be happy within yourself, to be happy to other people, and then they're happy back to you, and it just manifests itself, it just feeds itself, and it's life changing, in a very, very positive way.
That's been my experience too. It sounds like it's
Yeah,
exactly experience, Craig, as well.
Absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely.
And to see someone, like, when we say awaken, like, to see someone who wakes up, it's beautiful. Like, I went up to a spiritual event in Byron Bay recently. My brother lives up there, and so I took him to this event, and we went to breathwork, and we went to Ayurvedic talks, and he walked out of there just a different person, and now he's a changed person, and he's volunteering at the event, and his whole life changed in just a weekend, and just to see that in their eyes, like, it's beautiful.
Beautiful. And so who would you recommend come to this event? Who is it for? Do you need to kind of know some stuff about spiritual work or energy work, or?
No, not at all. Like, there's no religious overtones, there's no spiritual um, level needed. It's just come with an open mind and an open heart. And we'll be creating energy at the event to open people's hearts and open people's mind. We'll be doing an opening meditation in the beginning to raise the vibration of the whole event, of everybody there, of all the speakers, the exhibitors, whatever attendees are there. Everyone will get a boost out of this incredible meditation. The guy that's running this meditation is one of our energy mechanics, and he's just brilliant. And so, it's for everybody to. It's not just about the afterlife. It's about living your best life now and forever. And just education, understanding that it's not just a weekend event. You go to this, you find out about all these different modalities. You'll meet people. You'll meet like-minded people, and it can be very life-changing and in such a positive way for so many people, that we're hoping that this is the start of a journey for many people.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Uh,
And Craig, is there anything that you would kind of add in to this conversation? Anything that's kind of hanging around that you wanted to share?
Uh, I think just I just think this guy's awesome. You know, I think what he's doing is just, I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
It's just amazing.
Likewise, like I think he's amazing, and Julie, like, can I bring Julie in for a second?
Absolutely, yeah, I'd love that.
I'll stand behind you. Hide and stick.
So
Hi.
I'd like to
Hello.
introduce you to my soulmate.
Hi.
This is Julie McMahon.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. So how has this piece been for you and the spiritual journey? And
Well, I had a son at the age of 19 that passed away, and that created an outer body experience for myself almost immediately upon seeing his body. So I will be speaking at the conference, sharing my story through a movie that was produced by my beautiful husband, and telling the story of transcendence, which is this beautiful way to not go through the grief process, but to actually go through a much higher conscious state of connection from the beginning, because that's what I was able to experience as Paul was explaining, through these tragedies that transcend us. That's been my life journey. So I have a love story to share, and it's about the death of a child, but there is no death. So it's about the connection to a child. It's about unconditional love that transcends boundaries, and that is absolutely available. And the more that we all bind together through these bonds created, and the more that we talk about this, the more that we're going to bring everlasting life to all of us.
there is this sense, I think, that there is no, it's like the world needs it so much right now.
Mm.
It's
Very-
time.
Yep, it is time.
There is more there. I think lots of people are really ready for the messages that you all have. And thank you so much for being brave enough to stand up and to take your time and put your energy into creating these events, and getting on 10-hour flights to come to Australia, the bottom of the world. It's that coming together and creating things together in person as well as online. There is something about being in person.
Mm.
I'm excited to hear your talk as well, so I really look forward to that. Thank you.
Thank you.
And for the community, Paul, you have an offer for people listening to the podcast, I think, around tickets.
Yeah, so we're only a week out from the event. So for anyone who's listening to this, we're offering a 50% discount on all our tickets.
It's a very
There's a promotional code that
Promo code.
promo code that they can enter in our ticketing page.
and we'll pop that in the show notes.
PC50.
PC50 off.
Yeah, I think it had short psycho, PC, yeah.
Yeah. Psychotherapycentral.
I'll pop it in the show notes. It's
Yeah,
fine.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
We'll just pop it in the show notes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So,
Great.
so 50% off for everyone who wants to attend, and we hope to see you there.
Great. And the date and time, just so everybody knows, and
So
super.
it's on June 28 and June 29, which is Saturday and Sunday in just over a week's time at the Hordern Pavilion in Sydney. And our website is awaken.com.au. We have instructions there on how to get to the event, everything about it. I suggest that people go there and have a look at the speaker timetables, because the speaker timetables are just incredible. And so what you do, there's 3 stages operating at once. So you select who you want to see, when you want to see them. And then once you've run out of all your choices, well, then you've got other things to choose from in the gaps that might open your mind to something new that you would never think you were interested in. So
It's space to be pulled in the right direction.
it'll happen on the day.
Over 50 stalls, you said, of people with.
Yeah, I think there's about 60 exhibitors, and they've all been vetted. So we've tried to have the integrity of this event. So there's a lot of educational opportunities for people who want to move into spirituality, but do it in a responsible way. So people that run proper courses where you get a license, because you know, there's other sides to this industry that aren't as, I guess, good as what they should be.
So there's like this kind of coming together of really well accredited, high vibrational
That's
people
right. Yeah.
can be super supportive on the spiritual path. Yeah. It's beautiful. Well, I'm super, super excited about it. I'm going to be there with the International Energetic Healing Association, and part of what that organizes, I'm part of two organizations. One psychotherapy, one is spirituality. Part of the International Energetic Healing Association does is we accredit energy healers in Australia with lots of different modalities so that they can get insurance.
Yeah.
We're super passionate about. So my beautiful friend Irina will be there, and there'll be a few of us on that stall. I'll be in and out. So yeah, come and say hi to everybody.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah, we're so happy to have you there. Like once you joined us, it really filled something that we were missing and something that was definitely needed. So thank you for becoming part of Awaken, because it's people like you and Craig and Julie that make this event. You know, it's everyone combining into this one thing that makes this so special.
Absolutely. Great. Well, I'm really looking forward to it, and we hope to see many of you listeners. Come to Sydney, come and say hello. We'll all be there. Be inspired. If you're kind of looking for something, you're feeling like I'm looking for something, but I don't really know what it is. I've been feeling the energy of the solstice coming in. There's this kind of a halfway through the year, and I know some people you're looking for what's next, what's going to be different in the second half of the year. And it might just be that this is the springboard into something completely different. So if it's resonating and it feels right, come and join us there and take Paul up on his very generous 50% off offer. Again, the code for that will be in the show notes. So take care, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us. And thank you
for your time,
Craig and Paul.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining me on this episode. If you want to learn more about all things love, attachment, and trauma, I'd love to connect with you on Instagram at psychotherapy.central or visit my website at psychotherapycentral.health. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd greatly appreciate it if you could leave a review and a 5-star rating. Your support means a lot, and I look forward to connecting with you again soon.